Hello folks, thank you for joining us for another Tiger Bite, bringing you all the news, views and interviews live from the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium, home of Glasgow Speedway. I'm Derek Smith, and joined as ever in front of Tiger Bite cameras by the smiling Brian Copeland. What's amusing you, Brian?
Good evening, Derek. I'm just hoping that we're doing this right, because this is a bit of a homemade effort, this week. We've not got the technical support behind the scenes for this bit of it, so hopefully you can hear us, folks, and see us.
A fully self-service production tonight, folks. Hopefully it all hangs together in the end. So Brian, let's recap first of all on another memorable night at Ashfield on Saturday. A big crowd piled into Ashfield Stadium to witness the Tigers taking care quite comfortably of our cousins from Yorkshire.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise result in many ways. To be honest, Sheffield didn't offer a great deal of opposition, unfortunately, barring a couple of their top riders. On the other hand, we had a really good night. We, all 1 to 7 were on form. I think every man got at least a win or a paid win, which just shows you the strength and depth we've got. And when you've got your sort of fifth best rider based on averages going out and beating their number one in a tactical double, it just proves how good a team we are at the moment. And I think, we just. It was a nice return to form after the previous week. That we still rode well against Ipswich, but we were pushed a little closer than we would have liked. But I really do think it's laid down a marker now that perhaps us and Ipswich are the two teams to beat at the moment in the league. And between us, there's not much. I think both matches, if you'd put them together, us away at Ipswich and them away at us, they would come out as a draw. So. Whereas the other ones, we've picked up points elsewhere and they've come to Ashfield and struggled. So I think it's starting to emerge a little bit of a two-horse race at the moment. I'm sure that might change again, but that's how it's panning out.
It's a funny old sport, Speedway, at times, Brian. You look at league tables and respective league placings and you try to pick out the ones that ought to be the toughest test. And sometimes Ipswich, Sheffield haven't really stepped up to the mark, and unfortunately, from a spectacle point of view, but I think more and more in recent weeks, I'm hearing opposition team managers and promoters and riders, automatically saying coming to Glasgow is a big ask and a tough test for any team. And you just wonder sometimes whether Tigers have won the psychological battle before a wheel's turned.
Yeah, that's a good point. We obviously had Chris Louis on the show a couple of weeks back, and he straight away was, sort of targeting a point was almost kind of what they were looking for. In the end, that's what they got. But yeah, I think you're right. People are starting to fear coming north to face Glasgow. In the past, Ashfield was perhaps looked upon as quite a fair track, a track that a lot of other teams would like to come to. Mm-hmm. We got frustrated at that in many ways for several years. Obviously, we kind of started to introduce a little bit more of a home track advantage, and the shape of the track has changed and things. And I think the setup on Saturday night definitely suited our riders more than theirs. A few of the guys really struggled with it. So we are starting to turn it into a little bit of a fortress, which is really needed. You see the success that Edinburgh have had in recent years by turning, Armadale into somewhere that teams fear going. Not a lot of riders like it. And I think by us doing the same, and certainly in terms of the results from a league perspective, that's a good thing. There's obviously an argument to make as to whether we'd like to see some of the matches a little bit closer, from a neutral point of view. But when you're looking at purely on a results basis, that's working.
Mm-hmm. We mustn't get complacent, of course. Stuart asked for a big reaction from the lads on Saturday night, and he certainly got that as you've described already. I think all of the riders, perhaps with the exception of Tom, notched up a heat win on Saturday night. Jack Smith, yet again, taking a heat win in Tigers colours, which is a delight to see. So another 3 points into the tally on Saturday night. I managed to catch up with Simon Stead, Sheffield's team manager, after the meeting on Saturday night, and he couldn't disguise his disappointment at his side's display. Okay, the end of the championship clash here at Ashfield. Glasgow 55, Sheffield 35. Delighted to be joined in the pits by Sheffield team manager Simon Stead. Simon, a long journey and a tough meeting for the Sheffield boys tonight.
Yeah, really tough. That's probably the worst we've ridden all season, to be honest. And when you come to a place like Glasgow with the firepower they've got, you need to be at the top of your game. And we really weren't tonight, and they punished us.
the Sheffield lineup, you're full of riders who ride at all levels of the league, Premiership, Championship, and have done plenty of laps around here. Are you disappointed to leave with nothing in the bag?
I'm really disappointed. Honestly, when I was driving up, I thought, we get something from here. We always knew it was going to be tough, never underestimate anybody. And Glasgow have got a superb side. They're all riding very well. So, like I said a little bit earlier, we knew we were going to have to be at our best. Unfortunately, we were far from it and probably at our worst.
It's a tough job, of course, being a Speedway rider, as you know better than most. But how does it feel being a Speedway manager these days? How have you adapted to that role?
Well, it's safer. But I'm enjoying it. Other than tonight, it's been quite good. We've got a good set of lads, albeit we have struggled tonight, but we have got a good set of lads, and they are capable of better than that. And when we are going good, it's obviously more enjoyable. I never enjoy losing. I didn't enjoy losing as a rider. I certainly don't enjoy losing as a team manager. So that part of it's been disappointing tonight. But as a whole, generally we've been okay. We need to improve. We know that if we're going to be contenders come the end of the season, and some of that's my job to get the boys going. And it's sometimes more difficult than others, but as a whole, I'm enjoying it, and it's keeping me involved, which is nice.
Because looking at tonight, one meeting, one result doesn't make or break your season. We're only about the halfway stage, really, in the championship. Lots of points to chase yet. Talking about Sheffield, the new promotion, the new broom, appointing yourself as team manager, etc. Seems to be a lot of positivity down Sheffield way.
A massive amount, and I think they've put a good team together. The crowd have been behind us. We've been pretty dominant at home so far, which is, certainly what the Sheffield fans like. But we are going to need to improve. Like I said, it's getting to the halfway point now, where we had a great result at Peterborough the other week, and I thought that was a real turning point, but away form's been inconsistent. We had a bad loss away at Scunthorpe. Good win at Peterborough. You think you've turned the corner, and then we come here and get annihilated, really. But we've got to put our hands up. We were beaten by the better team. Glasgow have been superb tonight, so I don't want to take anything away from that. We've been poor. We've been beaten by the better team. We've got a week or so to reflect on that and try and better ourselves for the next one.
Away from domestic speedway, Simon, you're involved with Martin Vasilik in his Grand Prix setup. How did that come about? And is that a bit of a passion and good to be involved? I imagine at that level of the sport. Yeah,
it's really good. It's something else for me to focus on after riding. But I knew Martin for a long time, doing the Grand Prix challenges and riding abroad. And he uses Ashley Holloway, who I was using when I was riding, to tune his engines. So he just needed somebody else in his camp. He only had a small group of people, 3 mechanics. And really in the Grand Prix, you need another set of eyes and ears. Somebody to pass a bit of time with him and keep him focused. And in general, it's been a great start. We had a poor Grand Prix at Horsens, but we know the reasons behind that. But if somebody had said to us at the start of the season we'd have made a couple of semis and a couple of finals and already won a Grand Prix this year, then we probably would have taken that, albeit Horsens was disappointing, but the rest of it has been very, very positive. He's got a bit of a mid-season break now, using that to refocus and get his equipment back up to scratch, and we'll go again in Cardiff.
Last question, Simon. Given your involvement, the cut and thrust of domestic speedway with Sheffield and being in Martin's pit corner for the Grand Prix, that must test your commitment to give up the sport and retire from racing.
The thing is, I knew my time was right to finish. I've enjoyed it immensely, the riding part of it, and and always really enjoyed it. And I knew when I felt like I couldn't compete right at the top level, certainly in this league, then it was time to stand down. And I managed to hold on last season, but injuries have taken the toll. I'm struggling with those, and I finished with a PLRC win, So at that point, I knew that was the right time, rather than doing another year and maybe fall down the ladder a little bit further. So I had a great time, and the decision was easy. It was probably already made. So the fact that I'm still involved, hometown team, which I love Sheffield, born and bred there. So it's very proud for me to continue as manager there. And the fact that I've got the role with Martin is just another feather in my cap. Enjoying it.
Simon, a genuine pleasure speaking to you. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
Simon Stead, a very articulate young man. Brian, he's got far more broadcasting experience than you or I have, and it was a pleasure to catch up with him. And in an interview, as we've seen there, Simon was disappointed in the Sheffield side's showing on Saturday night, and but obviously a busy man given his other exploits within the sport. He's not been lost to sport, and that's good.
Yeah, I think we gave him the commentator's curse last week because we were chatting away to Nigel Pearson about how well he'd done since taking over the reins at Sheffield, and then he came up and took a bit of a hammering. But I'm sure he'll be extremely disappointed with that result. But I think he's quite young into his managerial career. He'll take these things on the chin and learn from them, I suppose. And he was always a fighter as a rider, and I'm sure he'll continue to fight on as a manager, and he certainly won't be giving up yet on Sheffield's title chances. It took a bit of a blow on Saturday night, but there's still a long way to go. They still have a good team. They can perhaps, I know there's one or two of their own fans starting to look at whether they could potentially strengthen up, and that's, I'm sure, something that they will consider as they, that it gets towards the crunch and they look to try and push on for a playoff spot.
One factor, Brian, that I always like to remind myself as much as supporters out there, given the format of the league this year, it's 2 home and 2 away. We're literally at the halfway stage of the championship chase to qualify for the playoffs. And in seasons gone by, Sheffield, for example, having lost on Saturday night would have been much more of an issue, I guess. But they're going to come back to Ashfield at a future date, and they could make amends. Glasgow could be in a poor run of form or have suffered some injuries, for example, and the roles could easily be reversed.
Absolutely, that's perhaps a good thing of this year's league setup. It does open up teams, gives them the opportunity to go and make amends for earlier poor performances. It does perhaps also put the 4 best teams at the top of the table. In seasons past, teams might have gone through a run of bad injuries, for example, and that, even sort of 4 or 5 matches, and that could really just kill off their chances. This season, that shouldn't really happen because, like you say, you've got 36 meetings, I think it is, over the course of the campaign before you get to the playoffs. So 36 is that's a lot of matches, and it should be enough to weed out the top 4. So yeah, like you say, Sheffield have got to come back to us, and I'm sure they won't perform as poorly as they did on Saturday. I think they'll come back having learned things from this visit, and they'll certainly push us closer next time, and who knows what position both teams will be in at that stage.
Mm-hmm. So absolutely, so 3 points banked for the Tigers on Saturday night, takes us clearly into second place, just 2 points now off top of the table Edinburgh, so all to race for, still three meetings in hand on the Monarchs. So that was Saturday night, Brian. Again, another big crowd filling the stadium, which was a delight to see. And so let's look forward to the visit this Saturday night to Ashfield. 7 p.m. tapes up yet again. Visit by Peterborough Panthers, a side who I suggest we might have a score to settle with.
Definitely. Unfortunately, they won't be led by Chris Harris. I suppose, unfortunately, from a spectator's point of view, I'm sure 1 or 2 of our guys would be quite happy to see him out of the meeting. Of course, he's on World Cup duty, so he'll be racing in the World Cup final on Saturday night while his team are at Glasgow. Quite a funny position to be in. I don't think there'll be too many instances of that happened in the past, but that's the way sort of Speedway's gone. But it was great for the league to have a representative in that competition. But a bit of a blow for the Panthers on Saturday night, because he's a man who really relishes the Ashfield track. He loves getting out in the dirt. I do think I had a look at the averages, and hopefully my calculations are pretty accurate. But I think Danny King and Sam Masters are 2 men that would fit within Chris's average. So particularly Danny King obviously had a good meeting a couple of weeks back at our place, so he might be one that they're looking to. And obviously Sam is ridden plenty of meetings around Ashfield as well, so we might see one of those 2 potentially. It remains to be seen what they they plan to do. I think, the visit of Jack Holder's hugely exciting. He's really the form man in the league at the moment. If you take Craig Cook out of the equation, Jack is, I think he's only dropped a handful of points in his last 6 or 7 matches for Peterborough. They scored a 15-point or paid 15-point maximum for them on Sunday in their home meeting. So he's a real man to go out and beat at the moment, and he likes that Sheffield circuit as well. So it's still a tasty match in prospect. I think it's the kind of third of 3 tough tests for us at home. We've kind of dealt with the first 2 fairly well. So I think it would still be a surprise if Peter were to come up and beat us. But they've got quite a few men who are capable around their place, and I think it will be an entertaining match.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Brian. Yet to be confirmed who will line up in Chris Harris's number 1 race jacket on Saturday night. But rest assured, the Panthers won't turn up light-handed on Saturday. And you're right. You look at the Panthers side on paper. The away form in particular hasn't been sensational by their own admission. But I'm certain they'll travel all the way up to Glasgow and want to make a fist of it. And as you've just said, Brian, having not tripped up at all against Ipswich and Sheffield, who on paper perhaps would appear to be a stronger challenge for us, we certainly can't be complacent on Saturday night.
No, I think when you look back on Sheffield's performance, I would expect Peterborough, despite the fact that they will be without their number 1 man, I would still expect them to push us closer than what Sheffield did on Saturday. I think they've got a couple of guys in there who have come onto some real good form. I've obviously mentioned Jack Holder, Ulrich Oostergaard. I think he has had a bit of an up and down season, but he scored particularly well against us in that match at Peterborough. Paul Stark, of course, who's started to pick up a little bit as well. So they've got, they've obviously signed Liam Carr as well down at reserve, and I know he didn't have the best of starts to his Peterborough career on Sunday. I think he failed to score. However, he's a guy who's raced our track plenty of times, so
definitely
he'll have a point to prove as well. He'll want to go out and impress his new bosses, and I'm sure he'll be a good match for the likes of Jack Smith and Tom Perry. Obviously, he's racing these guys quite regularly in the National League, so that could be quite a tasty tussle. Even as early as Heat 2, when those guys come together. And yeah, I think, as I said, it'll be an interesting and an entertaining match in prospect.
We know on Saturday Stuart will, as ever, harness his troops and get the heads together and make sure that the complacency doesn't strike. But Aaron Summers, the skipper of the side, will also play a role in that, Brian.
He will, yeah. And Aaron has played, possibly been quietly going out about his business this season so far, playing an important role in the pits. He's obviously taken some of the guys under his wing, the likes of Jack Smith. One bit of news this week that emerged, obviously, about Aaron was the fact that he's been confirmed, along with Richard Lawson, as our representatives in the Championship Pairs final, which comes up in a couple of weeks' time, Friday the 21st of July. Just before Cardiff, the British Grand Prix down there. So a big night in prospect down at Somerset, as always. And earlier on, I caught up with Aaron on that meeting and recent performances. Okay, I'm joined by live on Tiger Bite by Glasgow captain Aaron Summers. Good evening, Aaron.
Hey, mate, all right?
Thanks for joining us on the show. Aaron, just going to look back a little bit at the weekend's action first of all. Nice to get some more action around Ashfield. It's been a wee while since we had a run of meetings. You must be pleased to get back in the saddle a bit more often at the moment.
Yeah, it's been quiet lately, which isn't good for the staying on the bike and staying sharp. But yeah, it's good to get a few meetings going, and I picked up a few guest bookings as well, which helps.
The last couple of meetings at Ashfield, it's maybe fair to say, haven't been your best. I think they've been a little bit up and down. I know the previous week you'd had some problems with the machinery. Do you feel as though you managed to get them sorted out for Saturday night?
I still didn't feel as quick as I normally do, but just, they were the 2 top teams. Probably just sort of maybe a bit hard on myself, but I always like to perform really well. But seemed all right.
Bless you. Some hay fever down there. In the northern English countryside. You obviously on Saturday night you got the Heat 15 race along with Richard Lawson. I know it was kind of close between yourself and Richie Worrell, so a nice extra race there, and I think that was the only one where you failed to score points. So you can still look back on it as a positive performance from yourself and from the team. Laid down a real marker against one of the top sides.
Yeah, it was good. we did think we were going to be up against it with the way Switch went the week before, but everyone scored really well on Saturday, which helped. Everyone done good.
Yeah, was there anything you could put down the meeting, the way the meeting went too? Because, obviously Sheffield, we anticipated were going to be quite a big challenge to us, and I think they only got a few heat winners. It took till heat 15 for Josh Gajonik to win a heat, which is unusual for him. So was it just perhaps a bit of an off night for them, and our guys going particularly well?
Yeah, maybe so. I know they got rained off there on Thursday as well, which doesn't help. Obviously, same with us. You're not getting rolls of meetings going on, and takes a couple of races sometimes for people to get back to race sharpness. So, but all our boys, Dan and Jack and all them, they're all getting plenty of meetings with National League and doubling up as well in the top league. So it's helping for them, and Jack's coming on now, which is really good.
Yeah, he had another good Heat 2 win there, and it seemed like the track was set up to suit just about every rider on Saturday night. It had a little bit more grip by the looks of things on the circuit, but at the same time, it wasn't too grippy for the likes of Jack. He could still handle it okay.
Yeah, I think the way the weather had been, that maybe helped it. The watering was pretty even, and there was that shower before the meeting as well. It created a nice bit of dirt, and like you say, and it wasn't too aggressive for Jack and that couldn't ride it or anything, so it was good.
What kind of impact did Dan Bewley's win over Josh Gajonik in Heat 5, I think it was, when they came out the black and white, have? I think were you in that heat with Dan, and he obviously went out and got the win. It must be hugely important to go and get those kind of wins, because you know the effect that a black and white can have on a team. It can sort of galvanise them and give them a bit more energy.
Yeah, I think Josh is sort of more worried about what I was going to do off the inside, and Dan managed to sail around the outside, which was quite good, and there was no catching him from there. So, Dan done well on that race, definitely.
Again, one of the things you've touched on in previous seasons is that, you maybe haven't felt at times as though you've had, enough backup. There's a lot of pressure's been on you and Richard and Richie's shoulders, the heat leaders to go out and perform. But it seems like this season we've got guys in Dan and Nike and of course the two reserves that can go out and win races now, and they are proving that they can do that.
Yeah, everyone's coming together now and scoring the points they should be. So, that pressure isn't there as much now, which is good.
So looking ahead to this weekend, it's possibly the third of a kind of trio of quite tough matches. We sort of anticipated a few weeks back that this would be one of our tougher runs at home, and Peterborough come calling. Obviously no Chris Harris because of the World Cup, so we wait to see who they bring in at number one. But they've obviously got Jack Holder, who's one of the form riders at the moment, and he could prove a sort of challenging customer.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously Bum will have a pretty good average, I would think, to fill his space. But yeah, I think all the way that our boys have been going, there's no one we shouldn't be able to beat at home now. But yeah, Jack is, I was seeing someone put some stats on Facebook here the other day about how many races he'd won and what have you over his last 28 races or something, and he is definitely probably one of the best riders on form at the minute in our league.
Can you remember how he's gone at our place previously? Can you remember any sort of tough tussles with him?
I think he's always done well. I don't really pay too much attention to what everyone else does.
Yeah.
But he's a pretty good all-round rider everywhere he goes, I think. So.
He's obviously a guy you'll probably know fairly well, being Australian. And he's one of a raft of young Aussies that have come across in the last few years, and are starting to make inroads in the sport. Brady Kurtz, of course, is another one. Both of those guys down at Poole. Obviously, your team go to the race, or your country go to the race off on Friday night in the World Cup with a couple of young guys in the team. What did you think of their performance on Saturday night, and how do you think they'll fare this Friday?
I haven't had a chance to watch the meeting at all, but yeah, there's plenty of talent coming through from Aussie. GB seemed to do it from the front, but I'm sure the boys will be fired up, and obviously there's a few changes with Nick being injured and stuff, and I think the boys will all be up for it, and hopefully they can make it through. No
chance of a late call-up for you then, Aaron?
No, I didn't make the squad.
I know that's something you touched on earlier this month when the teams came out. You put your name forward to say that you feel as though you should be considered for that. Does perhaps not having the Premiership slot maybe hinder your sort of how much Mark Lemon thinks of you as one of those riders that potentially could be in the Australian team?
Yeah, possibly that. I haven't done much abroad either, which we've got plans for next year. So we'll see what the future brings.
Absolutely. And one other bit of news that obviously came out this week is that Stuart has selected his two riders to go to the Premier League, the Championship pairs in a couple of weeks' time on Friday the 21st of July down at Somerset. Yourself and Richard Lawson, I think it's been you guys the last couple of seasons. I know you've had a good partnership down there before. It must help now that Richard is in the position that he is, being a Somerset rider. He's essentially it's a home track for him, so that must be a massive boost for our chances.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Richard, riding there most weeks now, even know the setups and what have you. So I've had quite a few experiences in the pairs and what have you, and had some good success there. So yeah, I can't wait to do it.
It was close between yourself and Richie, of course. I suppose it could have been any two out of the three of you.
Yeah, that's it. Obviously, them top three averages between us. There's not a lot between us all. So definitely a tough one for Stuart to pick, but he's gone with whatever choice he's wanted to go to. I mean, Richard would have been a no-brainer being in his home track. So it was pretty much all between me and Richie, I think, left then.
In that kind of meeting, I think last year we went out to Edinburgh and just missed out I think it was the semi-final, if I'm right in saying that. So you guys have come close on a couple of occasions. What do you think you need to do this time around to go and win it? Because it is traditionally one of the toughest meetings of the year.
We just need to not run any last places, really. That's one of your keys. And me and Richard ride really well together. We've done plenty of races with him being at 1 and me at 5 and what have you. So,
yeah.
Pick other rides and looking out for each other. So, I think we'll be fine.
And finally, Aaron, one of the things that I think Michael picked up on the microphone on Saturday night when he was speaking to Richard was, of course, that a little bit further down the line we do have the Riders' Championship to look forward to at Glasgow. I know that most of the time it's only sort of 2 riders that would get in from any team. Again, it's going to be massively competitive and probably pretty unfair if one of you, Richard or Richie, miss out on that. So that must be something that's at the back of your mind as well. There can't be too many better sort of prospects than going into a meeting like that at your home track.
Yeah, it comes down to averages when they choose the riders for that, so just going to make sure to stay on the form and see how we go from there, but it'll be really good to get it.
And it's been, the fact that we've had bigger crowds in the last couple of weeks as well, that would traditionally be a bumper crowd at that kind of meeting as well. It'd be a nice feeling to walk out to a couple of thousand fans cheering you on.
Yeah, for sure. It's good having the backup there and the fans cheering on. It definitely helps.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us, Aaron, on this week's Tiger Bite, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you again soon.
Yep. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Summers picking over the bones of those recent performances, and with Aaron in that role as captain, it's a role that I know he takes very seriously. You see him in the pits, Brian. You and I are privileged enough to see some of the goings on in the pits on race night, and Aaron plays that captain's role to perfection.
Yeah, he does. He's rarely standing off. When someone's needing a bike, change made, some machinery, or whatever it might be. If someone's needing an arm around the shoulder, Aaron seems to be the one that's there most of the time. He likes to get stuck in, and he has a kind of beating heart of that pits. But I think the important thing is this season is that we've got guys throughout the team that have got passion. They've got care for their teammates as well. They want their teammates to do well, and you can see that in the pits. That they do. They do spend time together, they do work together, and that's important for a successful team. And Aaron plays a big part in leading that.
Yeah, and one prime example, Brian, look no further. You and I have been thumping the drum in recent weeks about Jack Smith's upturning performances, and of course Aaron was pivotal in spending some time with Jack to change some of his racing lines around Ashfield.
Yeah, exactly. The time he spent with Jack a few weeks back at Ashfield was hugely important. I think it's good that the club has persisted with Jack and given them the chance and the time to progress, and that's starting to pay dividends now. But it's not just been a case of letting him go on with it. It's also been a case of trying to get him up to speed and using Aaron and Stuart's experience, and obviously he spent a couple of days at the track about a month or two ago to harness that experience, and he's kind of put it into good use. I think you can start to see him now using more of the track. I think in Heat 2 in particular on on Saturday night, he went round the outside of the opposition riders, and that's exactly what Aaron was wanting them to do. He was trying to push him wider in the track and make him use more of the circuit. So that's already paid dividends, and I know Aaron will be as pleased as everyone else to see the progress he's making.
So there we are, folks. I think that just about brings us bang up to date again, Brian. So lots to look forward to on Saturday night. Keep the new supporter introductions going, folks. That's been working wonders for the club off track, and hopefully you are, like us, are buoyed by some of the supporter reactions. So it's interesting, Brian, isn't it, to pick up some of the first impressions and review comments from first-time Speedway goers.
Yeah, we've had some fantastic feedback from newcomers, people who are now already vowing to make it a regular Saturday night for them, which is fantastic to see. So please keep bringing people along. New fans are really getting involved. They're loving the family-friendly atmosphere. They're loving the racing. And I think that the scheme is really working so far, and that's all down to you guys at home.
The only thing we'd like to fix for Saturday would be some better weather. Some warmer July weather would be lovely on Saturday. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your week, folks. Thanks for tuning in once again. Look forward to your company at Ashfield on Saturday night. Good night.
Good night.